Hi, and welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the element of art called shapes. We use shapes for designs, we use shapes for patterns, and in this case, we're going to use shapes to help us draw animals. Think about an animal that you like to draw, or an animal that maybe you like to draw or would like to draw, and maybe struggle with. And one way that can be helpful when we're drawing animals is to break it up into shapes. Here is an example of different shapes we could use to draw our animals. We have a square, a triangle, an oval, a circle, a hexagon, and then here I've drawn some three-dimensional shapes. 3 dimensions means it looks like it's in the round, or in this case, it's flat, but it has the perception of popping out or having depth to it. Here we have a cylinder. Here we have a cone, and here we have a cube. Now, an example of using shapes to draw an animal is a shark right here. I haven't drawn a bold outline or added any details to the animal, but what you can see is I've drawn a cone shape for the tail, triangles for the very end of the fin on the tail, a triangle here for a side fin, a triangle here for the dorsal fin, and then another triangle with a side fin. And also 2 triangles and many triangles for the head and the teeth, and an oval for the main part of the body. I've also used a broken line to show you where the lines pass behind certain parts of the animal. So let's think about an animal to draw. And while you're thinking about an animal to draw, find your drawing materials. You can use a marker, you can use a pencil, or you can use any kind of pen, or maybe a color pencil. It's up to you. So you pause the video and take a moment to get the drawing supplies that you would like to use for today's lesson. Once you have everything ready, find a drawing surface. I'm going to use a pad of paper. You can use an envelope, you can use some newspaper. Find anything that you can draw on, maybe even just a piece of notebook paper with lines on it. And what we're going to draw first is we're going to draw a giraffe. So I'm thinking about the shapes that make up the parts of a giraffe. And the main part, I like to start with the body. So I'll draw an oval to start the body. And then giraffes have long necks. So I'll draw a long triangle, or a long rectangle, for the neck. And then the head can be another oval, just like so. And then some skinnier rectangles for the multiple forelegs. And then we'll have a little skinny triangle for the tail, and maybe an almond shape for the very end of the tail. So I've used simple shapes to map out just the general proportions. Proportions are the size of the body parts in relation to one another, and also just the general whole entire shape. And once you have all of your shapes put together, you can add maybe a darker outline to blend all those shapes. And maybe I'll add some details too. So we know that giraffes have ears, they have the little horns on top. Maybe another leaf shape for another ear. And then I can draw an oval for the eyes, and maybe another oval for the nose. And then I'll draw the mouth. And we'll come back down and finish the outline for the neck, outline the body and the tail, and then we'll outline the feet. And now, once you've done outlining, you can erase the original lines that made your shapes. Maybe we'll put a little branch with some leaves on it. Looks like this giraffe's eating some lunch. And then we know that giraffes have shapes on their fur that create their spots. And that is just one quick, simple way to make a giraffe. The next animal we could make is a shark. I'll draw a shark just like the one I showed before. And here, I'll draw the body, an oval for the body, and then maybe a triangle for the tail. I'm gonna have the tail curving a little bit. And then another triangle for the end of the tail, and another triangle that goes off the page. And then I'll draw a triangle for the head, and then we'll put a triangle on the side for a fin, a triangle on top for the fin, and another triangle behind. And notice how I'm practicing my overlapping by stopping and starting my shapes. And then here we'll add an open mouth. Maybe we'll put some teeth in here. Add a little dot for the eye. And then we'll start blending all these shapes together with a bold outline. And then erasing the lines that we no longer need. And then we know that sharks have gills, so I can draw some gills. And there is a shark. And then one last animal, my favorite animal, is a sea turtle. So I'm gonna think about sea turtles have a shell, sea turtles have flippers. So I'll start with the shell shape. I'll draw just a big oval for the shell. We know that they have a head, another oval for the head. And then they have flippers instead of feet. So I'll draw kind of a unique organic shape for the flippers. And then a little triangle maybe for the tail. Now here, we'll add some eyes on the head. And then erase some of our lines that we don't need. And we know that the flippers come out from underneath the shell, so we're looking at our turtle from the top. And so I'm gonna erase parts of these shapes to make them look like they're peeking out from underneath our turtle's shell. And then we can add some shapes to create the texture on the sea turtle's shell. And these are just simple organic shapes that I'm repeating to create a sense of texture. And there you have 3 different animals, each one made up with simple shapes using triangles, using ovals, using our own made up organic shapes, and also maybe even using some rectangles. So next time you're scratching your head or getting frustrated trying to figure out how to draw an animal, simply think of it in terms of simple shapes and remember and use those shapes to design and map out your creature. Thanks for joining me, and until next time, keep drawing. Goodbye.